Why don't we start with you telling me a little bit about yourself?
My name is Keith Pitcher. I'm 29 years old. I currently work at Pete's Coffee and Tea here in Boulder, Colorado.
This interview is for an exercise in a course that I am taking this semester. For the purposes of this exercise, do you consent to being interviewed and recorded?
Yes, I, Keith Pitcher, consent to being interviewed and recorded.
According to Sabine Parrish, about 70% of typical food service employees are female. I'm here at Pete's Coffee to interview shift supervisor Keith Pitcher about his experience working in a female-dominated industry. Can you describe a typical day and what activities you do?
As a shift lead, one of the first things I have to do is cash handling. So I would count into a safe. I would then delegate team members and baristas on our daily plan of action and deployment, picking up odds and ends for anything that's needed around the store to ensure that we have a good and productive shift.
How many men work at your location?
We currently have 3 men working at my store.
How many women?
9 in total.
To begin my research, I met Keith at Pete's Coffee on 29th Street in Boulder, Colorado. On this particular day, I observed that he was working with 2 other employees, both of which were female. How do customer interactions differ between male and female employees?
I would say the biggest difference I see when it comes to customer interaction is this overall assumption that I'm the store manager because I'm the one guy there in leadership. I feel like it's a common thing for me to hear, oh, you're the store manager, right? Or this is your store, opposed to when my actual store manager comes out being a female and she's like, I'm the new store manager here, and they're more taken aback by it than seeing that as like, oh, okay, that makes sense, you're coming in here and still a somewhat familiar face.
At this point in time, I decided to observe the workflow in Pete's for a little bit. I observed a customer interaction with his female employee as well as himself. What makes the gender roles in this job different from other jobs you've worked before?
I used to work at a huge gas station. We had 12 stores in our district, and of the 12 stores, only one was a female. One store manager was a female. This is completely contrast to Pete's, where my not only assistant store manager and store manager are both female, but so is our regional leader and the head of HR. So all 4 of the top 5 positions ahead of me are all female. It's a stark contrast between one and another.
Can you tell me about a time that your own gender or the gender of a coworker was an issue?
I remember actually not too long ago, my manager had just gotten off the phone with our IT department. Our IT department is a third-party IT department, so they're not part of Pete's Coffee. They are housed separately. So she got really frustrated at the guy she was on the other line with because she said he was mansplaining to her. I felt like I was able to remedy the problem after she hung up the phone. I just didn't feel it was proper for me to step in where I felt like I would have potentially been accused of the same thing.
So far from my research, this interview, and observations at Pete's, we can see that though the gender makeup of the service industry may be different than other facets of our society, traditional gender roles still color the way management is perceived and social interactions are carried out. To end our interview, I just asked Keith if he had any closing thoughts that he'd like to share with us.
None of the guys guys are in any of the same position. We have one guy who's a team member, one a barista, and then myself as a shift lead. So we typically don't share the same duties and responsibilities as a whole. In Colorado specifically, all the store managers and assistant store managers are currently female, as long as our regional leader and our head of HR. So it's not so much split up as gender of duties as current leadership structure opposed to baristas and team members.